Most people with big goals never accomplish them. I know that's harsh, but it's the truth. If you have big goals or a big dream and you don't want to end up like most people, you need to watch this video. Because in this video, I'll show you why it is that most people never make it. You see, there's one mistake that most people make, and I've discovered this mistake and the solution to it. How? Because I've been an entrepreneur for over 10 years, and through my work, I've met countless people in the early stages of building their dream business. And I've seen firsthand that most people fail no matter how hopeful they are when they start out. But over time, I also started noticing patterns. And I've deconstructed what makes the difference, what all those people who fail have in common, and also what the few who succeed have in common. And I'm going to tell you in this video. To unpack this, we need to start with a question. Why is it that most people fail to accomplish their goals? In short, it's because most people suck at implementation. Most people have loads and loads of ideas, but they don't have a good way to turn those ideas into effective action. Another way to say that is that most people have goals and they're focused on those goals, and they're not focused enough on implementing daily processes that will actually help them get to where they want to go. Nowadays, there's virtually unlimited information about almost anything you can want to learn. Anything you want to learn how to do, there's books, there's podcasts, there's blog posts, articles, courses, videos. You can learn almost anything about anything, most of it for free. And that goes to show that the problem people have nowadays, the reason you're not accomplishing your goals, is not an information problem. It's not a lack of information that's holding you back, it's a lack of implementation. In this video, I'm going to explain how I discovered the value of becoming an implementer. And I'm going to explain the one thing to you that will change your mind about how you think about implementation versus planning and learning, about action versus inaction. So stick around to the end if you want to reprogram your mind to start taking more action and actually move towards your goals. So picture this, right? It's the relatively early days of the internet. Young Shane is trying to figure out how to become an entrepreneur. And obviously I'm totally clueless. I have no idea. I have this idea that I want to build my own business, but how, where, when, no idea, right? So I'm going around basically soaking up information from everywhere I can like a sponge. I was reading all the blogs on the topic. I was reading the books. I was hanging out in these online forums where other people were talking about online business. And after a while, I started noticing something. I noticed that some people in these online communities talking about online marketing were like walking encyclopedias, okay? They knew all the terms, all the business and marketing jargon, and they loved to use it. And they'd read all the books, they were friends with all the gurus, they went to all the conferences, and they were broke. So I realized that there's these people who have all kinds of information, but they can't make it happen. And then on the other end of the spectrum, there were some people who were scrappy like you wouldn't believe. Again, this is the early days of the internet, so everything is technically difficult and everything is still new. Even something like building a website is a technical challenge. And nowadays you do it for free in like 5 minutes, right? But back then it was like, oh, how do I do this? But there were people who would just not let that stop them. Like they'd have an idea, they'd throw together some PDF, full of typos, poorly formatted, like the standard Word font, just publish it as a PDF and be like, this is my ebook, right? They call it an ebook and they start selling it on the crappiest sales page website you've ever seen, right? And how do you do the payment thing? Well, it's like, send me money with PayPal, and then they'd manually go through their inbox and like send people the PDF who'd sent them money, right? That's what they were doing. There were people who were doing webinars to sell their products when we barely had the technology to do online calls at all, right? So if you're thinking like, okay, how do you do a webinar? It's like, oh, you have your webcam and you're sharing a cool presentation. No, forget all that. Like, that wasn't even possible. It was literally, you can hear, a low quality, grainy audio voice of someone talking to you. And that's it. There's no webcam. There's no video sharing. There's no bandwidth to have, webcam streaming at all. But again, these guys were so scrappy. They were just like, I'm going to get people to join this group call and I'm going to tell them about my great ebook and I'm going to get them to send me money on PayPal, right? And this is like, that's the other extreme. Right? They didn't know all the terminology. They weren't like book smart. They were just making it happen. These were the implementers. And many of them later on, right, as the technology matured, as online marketing became more mainstream, many of these guys built big brands, big businesses because they had such a head start over almost everyone else. This is what taught me the importance of being an implementer, right? I could see that these people who were making bank, they were not worried about having the perfect logo design and having the greatest looking website and, cool flash animations, whatever. This was the stone age of the internet, right? So the stuff that people thought were cool then and worried about and spent money on is just cringe today. Nobody wants this anymore, right? And the people who were crushing it were just not worried about this and wouldn't let these details hold them back. This is how I learned that the most important thing is to become an implementer. To me, implementation and being an implementer is about preferring action over planning and learning. Implementation is about how you take action to turn your plan into reality. And I'm really grateful that I discovered this early on as I was trying to learn about online business, because for me, this really paid off. Because over the last 15 years, I've been able to grow businesses like Swiss Made Marketing and Active Growth and Thrive Themes and others from 0 to 6 and 7 figure annual incomes. And it's not because I'm somehow smarter than everyone else or because I work harder than other people. It's because of this focus on implementation. Now, I know that some of you are listening to me saying this and your perfectionism is firing on all cylinders. And you're thinking, yes, okay, I get it, right? I should take action, I should do the thing. But here's the thing, Shane, I'm currently still in planning mode. I still have to learn stuff before I can start doing things. I am still in the phase of coming up with the right plan, coming up with the right strategy, figuring out the details, and then I will take action. And my favorite one, the reason I'm not doing it yet, the reason I'm not publishing anything yet is because it wouldn't be good enough and I don't want to waste people's time. And listen, I get it. I am myself a recovering perfectionist. I know all of these excuses. I know all the reasons not to take action. So let me tell you what I realized and what I wish someone had told me sooner that changes your mind about the value of implementation. Because here's the thing. What you're actually doing is you're fooling yourself. You're telling yourself a story that is like, once I learn enough, once I know more, once I have a better plan, then I will take action. And it sounds like reason, right? But you're actually lying to yourself. And here's 3 reasons why. First, the best indication of any person's future action is their present action. Okay, generally, people will do in the future what they're doing now. And you already know this when it applies to other people, right? Someone who lies to you now is probably going to lie to you in the future. But this also applies to what you're doing right now. You're telling yourself, I need to learn more, I need to prepare more, I need to plan more, and then I will take action. And what happens in the future? Once you've learned more, once you have a plan, you will once again tell yourself, yes, but I need to learn even more. I need to get even better. I need to have an even better plan, and then I'm going to take action. And you can roll that forward once again at some point in the future. What will you do? Even though you've learned more, you have a new plan, you've done more preparing, you'll tell yourself the same thing again. And why is that? Because, number 2, you get better at anything you do. You can treat anything you do as practice, and you get better at what you do. What you're doing right now is you're practicing not taking action. You're practicing being in not yet mode. And the more you do this, the more you practice being in not yet mode, making plans, telling yourself why you're not taking action yet, the better you get at it. The inverse of this is also true. If you don't use it, you lose it. What are you not practicing right now? You're not practicing taking action. You're not practicing implementation. So you get worse and worse at this. And that leads me to the 3rd and final and most important point. You are ultimately fooling yourself because you imagine that at some point in the future, taking action and implementing will become easier. You are telling yourself once you've learned enough, once you have the perfect plan, once you're prepared enough, then it will be easier to take action. But the truth is, it will be harder. And it's because of exactly what we talked about. You're getting better and better at staying in not yet mode. You're getting better and better. You're practicing making excuses to yourself, telling yourself why now is not the right time to take action. You're getting better and better at not implementing. And the longer you do this, the harder it gets to take that step and finally take action. So the truth is the inverse of what most people tell themselves. The longer you put this off, the harder it gets. The easiest moment to start taking action is not at some point in the future when you've suddenly learned everything and you have the perfect plan. It is right now. Now you can put all these 3 points together and you'll see why becoming an implementer and doing it right now is so important. If you want to be a person who in the future is an action taker and an implementer, then the best way to do that is to start now and start building that habit. And by doing so, you will get better at it. So instead of thinking, I'm in planning mode, I'm in preparing mode, and later I will do something, think I'm in not yet mode, and the highest priority is to get out of not yet mode. Now, I see tons of people who have all kinds of dreams and ambitious goals, but they're stuck. And I want to help you with that if that's a problem you suffer from. So I'm going to make several videos on this topic on how to become an implementer. And I'm going to share the best methods that have worked for me to overcome my own perfectionism and to become an implementer. For example, I'm going to share with you the 5 words I told a small group of people that I worked with, that I told them again and again, and that were the 5 most important words that turned them from complete newbies into an effective content marketing team. But that's coming up in a future video. So if you want to make sure that you get the content as I release it, make sure you subscribe, maybe hit that bell so you get notified when the next video in this series is released. And in the meantime, check out this video, which explains why productivity is not what you think it is. Once you change your mind about what it actually means to be productive, you will become more productive and waste less of your time. So check that video out right now, and I'll see you in the next one.